The key areas were there was noise within the business and there was noise externally in terms of our customers. There was a level of frustration in terms of being able to get the right information to our customers. And as we dug into that, we found that it wasn't due to the fact that our people didn't have the knowledge. They didn't have the knowledge of the system and the capability within the system. So, and there was the other part to it was there was a very acute lack of knowledge within various user groups. So there was a very heavy reliance whenever there was an issue that it'd go back to the IT group. And the IT group were essentially responsible for everything to do with the system and the knowledge, all the knowledge base sat with the IT people. So that was a point of failure for me. I think what it did in terms of the audit, it actually highlighted what I guess in my gut, I knew where there was issues. So again, it highlighted issues around a lack of knowledge. I had a view that when we initially set the system up, there was a lack of engagement across the business. Now, this was before I came in, but clearly it was an IT-driven project. There was no engagement from the various departments. We'd moved from a Pronto-based system to 365, and essentially what had happened is IT put in the system they thought was appropriate, and everybody tried to copy Pronto. So I guess by engaging an independent party, for me, it gave a level of comfort that for somebody to come in that had no connections to the past, that was able to give me a complete, unbiased, independent sort of view of the status of where we were at. It's all the way through. It was certainly interesting in the early days because there was challenges. The biggest challenges were internally, but what it did, it provided us a very clear structure of where the issues were that we needed to address immediately, what could be addressed later, and part of our forward planning. The process we went through, I thought, was a lot more rigorous, where we called our existing partners in and some new partners, and we actually went through a far more formal process to identify the partners that we wanted to work with. And that interview process and the iterations of where they come and provided their presentations was extremely eye-opening for us. And it really provided us a very good view of what was actually out there in the market, who we dealt with in the past, and how businesses and different organisations have changed. But by going through this iteration and trying to put, I guess, a formal review process in place, we started to ask some hard questions. Sure, it's shone the spotlight on us, but it's certainly, we lifted a few rocks, and what we found was quite interesting. What we found in the process was there was some pockets of talent across various organisations. What we were looking for was that talent in one organisation that we would see as our long-term support partner for the future. I think the biggest issue or struggle for the organisation was just in terms of having sufficient bandwidth, because our people had to do their day-to-day activities, as well as trying to then get involved in implementing some of the recommendations that had come from your report. Yeah, look, I found it excellent, because what we didn't have that skill set, again, that could look across, particularly that whole supply chain optimisation, how to work with partners. So not only to have that oversight has been good, but it's also been we've had the opportunity to start to educate our own people as well. So that's been fairly important for us. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we've got to be masters of our own destiny. So we can't continue to rely on people. But the view has been that you've been able to work across the organisation and provide insights. And then, as we lift our people up, there'll be, I guess, there'll be ongoing engagement, but it'll be at a higher level because we've got so many other projects we've got to do, you know, over the next sort of 5 years in terms of our transformation. So, but we've got to be able to have a group of people that can work with you and work with our partners to get the best outcomes. Knowledge and independent. So, you know, come in without any agendas. You look at what the situation is. As I said, when I first engaged you, tell me as it is without fear or favour. And I think that's really important for any executive. I mean, if you've got, I want someone to come in and challenge our thoughts and what we're doing. And you've certainly been able to do that. And you do it in a respectful manner. And, you know, from that, we've been able to develop. I think, to be quite honest, we're sitting there now about to go live with a number of recommendations within the next week or so. And I guess the best endorsement I can give is that the people in the organisation are now fully invested in the process. So at the end of the day, that's where the proof in the pudding lies for me.